Hey everybody, welcome back to No Love Lost 2.0, and today I'm going to get into a little bit about jealousy. I'm Zaa'Fir, your host, so let's get into it. A friend of mine was bringing up a subject of jealousy and how do I feel about it that happens in families and friendships and just in relationships in general. So sometimes we sit here and we think people are rooting for us and we think we are so excited about it and like, oh my God, they really care. But sometimes we fail to realize that people will sit in the audience of our lives and leave us to sit there and watch us fail, to watch us not get to the point where we can be great. Sometimes people do that only because selfishly they really are not happy with themselves. Jealousy is one of the most evilest things that one of the many evil things that people can do that can hurt others. Being envious. If your friend is doing well in life, you're supposed to clap for them and sit there in that audience and genuinely support them. Just sit up there and don't put up that cold front. And meanwhile, you really hate. And, somebody told me before, oh, I'm a little envious of you. And I say, well, you know what? You don't know what it took to get me to where I am. It wasn't just an overnight thing for me. It took a lot of work and a lot of my success is due to the work that I decided to put in. Like my partner knows, and one thing he knows about me is I don't believe in A to B. I believe in A to Z. That's my biggest thing when I tell people I always believe in A to Z. Because if you sit up here and you only have one or two plans, you're never going to get where you want to be. You're never going to reach the potential that you really can achieve if you sit up here and stop just putting all your eggs in one basket. And sometimes that goes back to the relationships that we have when being with a partner. It could be your parents. A lot of parents are jealous of their kids. That's not talked about enough. A lot of parents are envious of their children due to their children doing a lot better than them. And parents always say, oh, I want you to be successful. I want you to reach the potential that I may have not reached. But as soon as you start reaching that, that's when the little bit of shit start. The little angry side of them come out. The little haters part start coming out. And you can even sometimes recognize that your parents are haters, while you're a teenager. And it's not because you're being rebellious. Sometimes that's the reason because, when you're young, you do think you know it all. You think you have it all figured out. Who doesn't? We've all been there. But at the same time, it's sometimes they don't want to guide us. They want to control us. And there's a difference between control and guiding someone. You can guide someone to the water. That doesn't mean they're going to drink, right? But you can sit here and have people guide you in your life to failure. So sometimes you have to remember to always go back and remember, go with your gut. Go with what you think is the right thing to do. Because even sometimes our parents don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, I know for a fact I've had a parent jealous of me before because they continuously said, oh, your success is due to me. If it wasn't for me, you would not have this success. And I say, well, I'm trying to remember when you were there to help me create this success. I'm trying to recall the time where you helped me study through college, where you paid my financial aid, where I didn't have to go and get emancipated and go to the courts to get emancipated because my parent wouldn't fill out my financial aid. And that's because I feel they did not want me to be the best version of myself. Now, granted, one of my parents is a graduate from college. And that's the one who did not see it for me to succeed. But as life and things have changed in life and the tables turn, not trying to be funny, that particular parent started depending on me financially in every aspect. And as a child, I didn't mind doing it because that's my parent. I want to help them out. They took care of me. But then when it became a job and expectations were raised to, I have to, I think that's where the line started to get crossed. And that's why you have to set those boundaries because people be like, oh, I've been best friends with Jillian for the last 12 years. Well, you didn't know Jillian hated your damn guts the last 12 years. It's as simple as that. A lot of people don't realize you cannot take everybody with you. I've had friends that I've been friends with since childhood. I have had friends that I've been friends with since I was 12 or 15 or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I also recognize that some of those people are not meant to go with me. I had a friend ask me, I've been inboxing you, hitting you up, and you don't sit here and text me back or say nothing back. And I said, well, you know what? You ever heard of shadow banning? And he said, what do you mean? I said, I shadow banned you from all social media and my phone number. I don't even know that you're hitting me up or texting me. I said, the only reason why you got through this time is because I happened to be looking at the phone and decided to pick it up. So ultimately what that came back down to is I had moved past that friendship. Now this is somebody that I love dearly. I care about them dearly. But at the same time, I recognize that they're not able to go to the next step in life with me. And that's okay. They didn't do anything to me personally, but from you one can say I'm judging them, right? Because I'm like, where you are, I'm not there anymore. So I choose to move forward. And unfortunately, that's just not with you. And some people don't know how to take that. They assume that that means that, oh, you got high acidity and you think you better. It's not about thinking I'm better. It's just that if you're still fighting in the club and doing things that I don't agree with, I'm not gonna sit up here and be in that environment with you. I'm not gonna be going out with you, and every time we go out, we in some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like I'm not finna do that. So this particular friend, I wouldn't say they was jealous of me, but they haven't moved forward in life. Like we have gotten older. I've known this friend since I was about 19 years old, and they have not went anywhere but to the same place that we when I met them at 19. They still doing the same shit that we did at 19. That I'm like, I'm 30 now. I'm not doing that no more. I'm not getting involved in shit that could affect my life on how I take care of my family for the rest of my life. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of people make is they don't realize that you will get older and things will follow you, even if they were 10 years ago. So you have to stop trying to appease people and be that big badass for others. That's something that they are looking to achieve. Let them achieve that on their own. Let them achieve those problems on their own. Let them achieve the DA coming at them and pressing charges on them alone, because that's not your job to sit here and let your success be their success. Now, if you come along for the ride and you ride out and you thug it out with me and you got me and I got you, cool. But that's not always going to be that way. I've been friends with one person the longest, like 16 years. I've been friends with my bro Sam, and we've had ups and downs. But I can tell you, in 16 years, I think we've had two ups and downs, and it had nothing to do with jealousy. It had nothing to do with jealousy. It was the lack of communication between him and I, and that's all it was. And then when we had that talk, it's a brotherhood. Nothing's gonna be perfect, but you do have to recognize when people are just sitting there and hating on you, and that's siblings, that's cousins, that's families, that's friends. Age does not equate wisdom. And that's what people don't realize. Being older does not make you right. Being older does not put you in a position that you know it all and that you're perfect. You make mistakes too. And you have to understand that as young people, they have to make mistakes. I have to make mistakes. But that doesn't mean that everything that you say is the thing that we're supposed to do. And and that goes back to, like I said, your friends or your parents. Like that friend said, well, I feel like you're judging me. I said, I'm not judging you. I'm just not in the place that you're in. And since I'm not in that place, I removed myself for myself. Now, yes, I could have communicated that in a better, effective way where you would have understood why. But when I'm sitting here communicating it with you now, as you're getting defensive about the fact that I don't want to be in relations as far as friendship with you too often, you're getting mad. And this is what I chose not to do. I chose not to have the conversation with you because I knew that you were not in a place of maturity to be able to handle the conversation. So I removed myself. And so that's not fake of me. That's just me choosing my peace. I think a lot of the times people don't understand you have to put yourself first. And when people are jealous or hating on you and call themselves friends, you can't be sitting around people that's really mad at you. Like I have friends who are genuinely supportive. I have friends that I genuinely support. Means that when we show up for each other, it has nothing to do with the dollar amount. It's just that we want each other there. That's it. And it's nothing more than that. And those friends that I do have, I like that finances are not involved. The biggest thing that happens and people make mistakes is including finances in their relationship with friends, because then that sometimes makes them envious. I've had friends, well, you got money, you just cheat. Okay, well, me having money has nothing to do with you. That has nothing to do with the subject at hand, that maybe I don't want to give it to you, or I'm deciding that I don't want to include you in my finances. I'm not obligated to you. I'm not in relationships with you as a partner. I'm in relationship with you as a friend or a brotherhood. And I started to notice that family and friends have a lot of jealousy in them. That's why I always say in No Love Lost and No Love Lost 2.0, I always say you have to take people's title away. Take the title away from a person and just look at the resume. If your name is Jasmine Christina Maxwell, you can't sit up here and look at Jasmine Christina Maxwell. You have to just look at the resume and look at who the person is, what's their track record, how did they treat you, how did they make you feel, and what positions have they put you in to be a better version of yourself or to be less than. Because a lot of the times we try to keep people around who are not supposed to be around anymore. And we don't know how to sit up here and just say, it's okay that you remove yourself or that I remove myself. That doesn't mean that you weren't good to me and I wasn't good to you, but I appreciate the time we had. But that time is no longer here with us now. So you know what? I love you for the time we had. Now I'm going to keep going this way while you go that way, and that's okay. You know, a lot of the times we feel guilty for letting people go, not realizing that we have to let people go in order to get the best version of ourselves, because sometimes people are stuck on who we used to be and we're not there anymore. And what happens is it leaves you in a pit of misery because you're still trying to stick with what you know, but become a better version of yourself. So a lot of people tend to get jealous when they see you moving differently. When you move differently, people will sometimes look at you differently, and it's not always in a positive way. Sometimes it's in a way of, oh, she doing better than me, or he doing better than me. I don't like that. Because sometimes people love to be friends with people they know are doing not doing as well as them. That is something I very know very well. Is people love to sit with you when you're not doing as well as them. But when you're doing better than them or just as well as them, they huffing and puffing low key, or everything you do is a problem. I tend to realize that the reason why I've made my circle so much smaller is not because I can't have a lot of friends. I don't need a lot of friends. I need people who are genuinely going to sit in the audience of my life and cheer me on. I need you to be like, yo, go Zaa'Fir, you did that. You did that, bro. You need that energy from people instead of, oh, I'm happy for you. Good job. Oh, your podcast doing well. Oh, that's what's up. Oh, YouTube, you almost monetized. Oh, okay. You know, you have to pay attention. And don't overread into it, but you have to pay attention to how people speak on the positive things in your life or the negative things in your life. You have to pay attention, because you will realize that they were always envious or jealous of the potential, not realizing that the work it takes to get there. So they are jealous of something that they haven't even seen the full picture of. And that goes back to, you have to choose your friends wisely. You have to choose what friends and family you choose to have around you, and your children, because some people will sit here and be around your children and don't even like you. Like, for real, I know so many people who let their children be around people that do not like them. Like, I've even had somebody, I'm like, why do you want your kid around me? I don't even like you. And they said, oh, stop playing. Don't, you playing. No, I really don't like you, bro. I really don't like you, man. Like, you have to let them know. I really don't fuck with you like that. But, they don't always understand that it's not from a place of anger. Sometimes it's just, where you are in life, it don't sit in a place where I'm comfortable. So I'm going to have to just remove myself. And then they try to spin the block on you and say, oh, well, you jealous. Oh, you mad. Oh, you mad. Oh, you unhappy. I remember somebody told me, oh, you just mad because you're not married. Or you just mad because you don't have this. Okay, and now what? How you sit in your life is not for me to judge, and it's not for me to actually look at, because whatever you went through to get where you are, that's your business. That's what you went through. I didn't go through that with you, and I have to accept that that's where you are, and that you have the right to sit here and feel how you feel. But to call me jealous because I'm not where you are, that don't make sense. You have to read it both ways. You have to look at it both sides. Is that people are really haters. I always tell people who have a lot of friends, I look out for them. I watch out for them, because if you need 20,000, you need 20 people to make you feel fulfilled and speak to every day, you need to go do some healing and therapy, because there's nothing wrong with having a large group of real love and true support. But in 2025, I don't even think people have the scruples to even do that no more. People don't have the mental capacity to actually be real friends anymore. People don't have the mental capacity to have enough respect for one another to say, hey, you did something that bothered me, it hurt me, and how do we rectify it? I'm not saying be quick to just drop people and let people go, but you also have to understand that you have to be around people who are willing to do the work. If you're going to sit in the same place and never change, then how am I going to fit in your life? Because I'm going to change. I'm not who I was last year or the year before. I'm a different person. I'm a different version of the person you may have known. And you have to accept that. And if you can't, that's okay. You don't have to. But I have to be prominent in the decisions that I make to move forward. And sometimes that just does not include you. And, I don't like confrontation, but at the same time, I'm going to have a conversation. I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to argue with you about how I feel. I'm going to state how I feel, and you can agree to disagree, or you cannot agree. But you can't make me do what you say. And too often, people want you to follow suit in the decisions that they make in their life. There's a lot of times, mothers and daughters get into these heated battles and fights and arguments and physical fights because the mother is jealous of the daughter. And the daughter doesn't understand, like, why my mom don't like me. Why my mom always bitching at me, but she don't bother my brothers. Sometimes mothers don't like their daughters. I noticed a lot of the time, especially in the black community, unfortunately, um, a lot of mothers and daughters, they don't be liking each other. I'm not saying that don't happen in other communities, but for the community that I lived in, that's the version that I've seen a lot of. They don't have good relationships. They don't have close relationships. Not all, but like I said, in my personal life, a good majority of mothers and daughters, I've seen the battles. I've seen the physical battles. I seen my mother make my sister drink out of a straw. I seen my sister say something so disrespectful to my mother and buck up to her like she was about to fight her. I seen my sister literally had to drink out of a straw by the end of that night. By the way, my mother tore her ass up all up and through that house. And the thing about it is that's not healthy. That's not healthy for there's a lot of parents that have done things and they think, well, I did the best I could. Well, you know what? Sometimes the best you could was not good enough. And you know what? You need to recognize that sometimes kids don't want you to go back and say sorry for everything, but recognize that you did something wrong or you did something that hurt me. Because your parents are the first people to be your bully sometimes. It's a blessing if that's not the situation. But sometimes your parents are the first people to sit here and be that ultimate big attack on you because they don't want happiness for you. Sometimes they want to see you stuck unless they're helping you. And a lot of parents do that. And a lot of friends do that too. Family too. They want to see you stuck so that you need to come to them to be a better version of yourself versus you doing it on your own. I always say you should really push for people to be the best version of themselves by themselves. Because when you're trying to control the narrative that you help them, you just a person that's a narcissist and you want to be in control. You want to be in a dictatorship because you want to be the one to say, I helped you. Okay, what's next? You know, I've had somebody one time I was homeless when I was like, I think back in 2015, I was homeless. And not because I couldn't pay my rent, but me and my ex-husband had gotten into a bad battle. That's what I'll call it, a bad battle. And the landlord was like, nah, you gotta go. Y'all gotta go. Like, y'all crazy. And I remember this girl like was like, oh, you can just come stay with me. Da 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 da. But I lived with that girl for a month. I made sure I got my own place quickly because money wasn't the issue. The issue was I had to move fast. Okay, this bitch was over here asking me for $5, $20, $10, and then I come to find out she was using my phone, putting ads up on Craigslist to sell pussy. I said, wow. And then I remember when I moved, she was like, oh my God, you moved so fast. I literally moved. I lived with her for 4 weeks and I was in my own place by the fifth week. And when I tell you, she was not happy. Like, she was like, oh, you don't need to leave yet? No, bitch, you want me to watch your kids. Then come to find out, she was like, oh, that's why you had to stay with me. Jealous, hating, mad. You wanted me to stay in a place of stuck so that you could feel solidified that you were helping. And that didn't work for me. So I removed myself quickly. Even as young as I was, I knew to get away from that situation. And that was 10 years ago. And I've never put myself back in a situation like that again. I've realized that it's okay to say goodbye to people. It's okay to recognize that family and friends can be jealous. Even sometimes the people you call your best friend are really not your best friend. Sometimes people really don't like you, but they tolerate you just to see you fail. remember that. This is No Love Lost 2.0, and I'm Zaa'Fir. You can get me on Spotify, Apple, iHeartRadio, and YouTube as well. And you will get a new episode every Monday. I might just throw this out a little earlier than Monday. This might just be a little bonus episode because Moses did get on here and he wanted me to have a conversation about people and jealousy. And I think that we can have this dialogue go even longer. Maybe I'll bring a guest on. So remember to always subscribe, like, and share the channel. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. Check me out on YouTube. That's No Love Lost Pod. And hopefully, whenever I do an episode with Mario, you guys can catch that as well. There's an episode with me and Mario out right now. I can't recall the name off the top of my head, but just put in No Love Lost on Spotify, and it's the latest episode that came out this past Monday in January, at the end of January. So make sure y'all check that out. And this is No Love Lost 2.0. I'm Zaa'Fir. Remember this: the beginning of your day does not determine the end of your day. One love.